can hear you and I can see you. How are you, Matt?
Well, good, man. What's going on?
Everything is good. Where are you?
Actually, currently, I am in Jackson, Wyoming.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I'm on vacation with my wife. It's our 25th anniversary. We're celebrating. It's coming up. Actually, that it's coming up in July, but we're celebrating it now because it's nicer here in June than July. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. Very good. 25 years, it's already a lot of time for some people, at least.
It's crazy, man. I guys that I'm working with now that I'm older. My anniversary is longer than they are old. They're in their early 20s, so it's
Very good. And also, let's talk about New Messiahs. When did you guys start working on the songs for the album?
probably about 2.5 years ago. Actually, the record's been pretty much done and in the can for almost an entire year. Um, because the merging with our record label with another label, we kind of became larger, or kind of got into a larger pool or a larger pond, of artists. So release dates and all that stuff got kind of pushed back, and looking for the right time to release and all that with all the other artists that are on the label now. So I guess that's kind of how it worked out. It's okay. It just kind of sucks, like sitting on songs that you're really waiting for people to hear for a year. But outside of that, I get it. It's the business, man. It is what it is.
Yeah. How does it feel, when you have a record done for such a long time and you cannot reveal anything, cannot show to anyone, and it's a good record? How does
Yeah,
it feel?
it's tough, man. It is. Like I said, it's hard, but we knew it was a good record, and we weren't like, let's get this over with or anything like that. So it's just the buildup of it is kind of tough. But at the same time, like I said, I know, I understand the business, and there was a lot going on with the merger, with the record label and everything. So we're happy. We're happy that we're getting the support as far as promotion and everything like that for the record. So that's great.
Cool. Cool. And, with the record coming out soon, and you being with the record then for over a year, listening to it, are you still as happy as you were when you finished the last vocal note, the last guitar note?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, man. With every record that I've ever done, I always listen to songs and go, I should have done this differently. I should have done that differently. But I think that's always with an artist. Whenever you're, I think any musician's going to say the same thing. I could have done this differently and it would have sounded cooler. Right? I could have done this, and that's just repetition. That's just one of those things. I mean, I do the same thing with other artists as well. I go, man, if they would have done this, that would have been really badass, or if they would have done this, or it would have been really cool, or this is what I would expect, or something, But I think it's just, it's just self-critique, man. I'm probably my own worst critic. So I can always find something that I should have done better or should have done differently or whatever. I think that most people that do music are much the same way. Probably all artists are, or anything that you're passionate about. You could go, hey, I can do this. The difference is, like, unlike me, if I were a chef, then I could just add some other ingredients the next time I make that particular meal. But I can't do that. It's done. Or I can maybe throw in some stuff, and I've done that too. Throw in some stuff live that's a little different, a little more flair, just to kind of spice it up or change things up a little bit. But that's it, man. No major things. I think Freddie and I did some really cool work on this record. It's a lot of fun. The way we work is, obviously we live in different places. He lives in Arizona. I live in Delaware. So we share files back and forth. And it's a process. We critique each other. We critique ourselves. We listen to things, and I tell Freddie, hey, man, I got to do this over again. I know you like it. It's stuck in your ear. This is one thing, but it's not working for me. Same thing with him. He goes, hey, I did the solo or whatever, but it's not working for me. So I'm going to change it. I'm like, okay, go for it. It's just something that he and I have to agree to sometimes, let each other critique ourselves and then critique each other. And it's, obviously it's all from a good place. We're not, if it's something that we're absolutely stuck on and I go, no, I'm not going to change it. He respects that. And the same for me. If he goes, I really like this is what I want to do. Okay, cool. Just for instance, it was this, I can't remember what song it was. I did this vocal part over this bass line and he's like, man, I really think that bass line just needs to be left alone. Just let it. And he's right. You know what I mean? After listening to it, I'm like, yep, you're right. It adds to the the mystique of the song. It created an atmosphere, just this cool little bass line. And I wish I could remember what song it was, but I can't right now. So,
and as an artist, as a musician, as a singer, how do you deal with? How have you dealt with the inner saboteur, throughout the years? Because as you're saying, as a musician, sometimes you're never 100% happy. But how do you deal with that voice sometimes saying like, man, I have to try that? How do you deal with that?
I think it's just like, if you got something that you really want to try, like something interesting, you just wait for the next song. You wait for the next opportunity if you can. If it's something that, and I've done that. I mean, I think I've changed and done things, and I've done different things that I wanted to do in songs, and I've just waited and done them differently as time progresses, and I get to do that, and in my home studio. I've got all kinds of time to do that. I can play around with different things and, add layers and add vocal layers and harmonies and things like that. And that's cool. It's stuff that I wasn't able to do necessarily in like earlier stuff with Iced Earth. It was like we were getting in there and, I'm having to knock stuff out in a week, do an entire record in a week, which may seem like a lot, but when you're doing, multiple tracks and multiple layers, and then you're, somebody's telling you, no, that sucks, or you got to do this differently, or do this, it's not a lot of time. Most people that do records will tell you that it's not a lot of time. A week to do an entire record is crazy, but we used to do it back in the day because we had a budget and we needed to get it done. We didn't have the Metallica budgets, ever, where you can go into a studio and just write an entire record in a studio. So it's, it is what it is, man. I try to just hold on to those thoughts and go, this is something that I'd like to try for next time if it doesn't work or whatever. But like I said, Freddie and I have a really good relationship and understanding of each other, of our abilities and our, what we like and what we like to hear. So, and it oftentimes, like, Freddie will give me a song, a basic song, stuff that maybe he's written and had something completely different in mind, but I'll hear it one way and I'll start writing the vocals, and he'll go, huh, I didn't think of it that way, but cool. Keep going, do that. So yeah, it's cool, man. We've got a good partnership.
Yeah. And the one thing about you as a singer, we know when we listen to a song, that's you. That's Matthew Barlow.
And I think that's important, man. I mean, I tell this to every singer that's asked me, hey, what do you do? What's your thing? I'm like, be yourself, man. Just be yourself and embrace it, because it's really important. It's really important to be, for people to identify, your voice and, who you are. So, lean into your strengths and try to, obviously stay away from your weaknesses, but definitely lean into whatever the strength in your voice is and embrace that.
Yeah. And, on these records, a song like from Alley Rides was inspired on Ghost Rider. Normally, what does inspire you to write lyrics?
Man, it's just weird. Sometimes it's just listening to a song, like Freddie will send me something and just the tone of where he's going with it will inspire me. Sometimes I write lyrics just like I write poems. I start out with an idea and I go, I think this will work. Or, maybe just the first, it'll be like the first line, just as something that sticks in my head, like a theme or something like that, and I'll break out my phone and I'll just write it down in my notes, you know. So then if Freddie gives me something and I go, I think I like this. I like where this is. I think this is the theme that I'm going to shoot for, and I'm going to write. So it really depends. You know, I could have an entire song, almost an entire song written as a poem, and I think that it matches up, and I may have to change some stuff a little bit to match what Freddie's doing or whatever. But it's just, you know, it comes from everywhere, man. Like all the time. Like I'll be cutting, you know, be out mowing my lawn, and I'll get this thing stuck in my head, like a saying, like it'll sound like a poem or a saying or something like that, or even has a melody to it, and I'll try to remember it, or I'll, you know, get my phone. Cool thing about iPhones or any smartphones now, I've got like the memo thing. I can like hum the tune in there or whatever. So then I'll get that, and if I start writing the music, then it's going to be very basic, but at least I'll have the melody, and I'll just go, hey Freddie, here's the melody I've got for this, and can you do something with that? So it comes from every direction, man.
What was the strangest situation where you had an idea and you had to leave everything and and write it down or take a note? Do you remember? Was there any situation, let's say a family gathering, everybody was talking, all of a sudden you, oops, I got an idea, and you just left and wrote a note?
Yeah.
Do you remember, you know, any particular situation when that happened?
Yeah, I do. It's kind of funny. I'll have to ask my wife if I can share this story or not, but so, this is the true story. So it was funny. So I was writing the lyrics for My Own Savior, and it was back when my wife and I had first gotten together, and we were having a discussion, an argument, a heated discussion, I guess. And it was, I don't know if you're familiar with what is that movie? Dewey Cox. Have you ever watched the movie Dewey Cox?
No.
Okay, so you got to watch this movie. It's a movie that's like a parody of all of the rock biographies that are, you know, not biographies, but like Walk the Line, you know, the Johnny Cash story, and all. So it mocks all those kind of, but I think it's funny. But anyway, this guy named Dewey Cox, he's a old rock and roll guy, and he goes up through the ranks, and he, you know, kind of does all this stuff, and he marries this woman, and he has like all these babies and a chimp and all that, and so it's sort of like, you know, following like the Elvis thing. Anyway, so he's having this argument with his wife. And he gets this kind of blank look on his face, and his wife looks at him and says, "Dewey Cox, you better not be writing a song right now." So anyway, so I kind of had one of those with my wife. I was in the midst of writing the lyrics for My Own Savior, and we were having this conversation, and I think I said to her, "Well, you know what, life's a bitch," and then I sit there and I was like, kind of stared at my face, and I gotta write this down. So that's when life's a bitch, life's a whore, nothing less, nothing more. So that oddly enough, we were having this conversation, and that's where that line comes out, and it just happens to be one of the more, I guess, famous lines in that song, right?
Yeah.
I've done that song live and all that, and everybody knows those lyrics for whatever reason. So it must have struck a chord with people. So anyway, so that was fun. That's my little story. And it's so funny because then years later, when I'm watching the movie Dewey Cox, the same thing happened to him, and I guess it must be a thing. Like it must be I don't know if it's a musician's thing or something, but it was enough that they put it in in that movie. But you really got to watch that movie, man. It's hilarious.
I'll take a note on it, and I'll try to see if I can find it somewhere.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's called Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. So Walk Hard, name of the movie.
Cool. And with the album coming out next month, what are plans for live shows? Is there anything planned at the moment?
Yeah, we're getting together a European tour. It's going to be a kind of a short one because my job, my career won't allow me to kind of be away for, long, serious lengths of time. So we're trying to compact it right now. It's going to be at the last week of September into the first week of October. We're also going to be, so we got a festival on October 4th in Germany. And then we're going to be we've got a bunch of shows in Greece already booked. We're working on the second night in Athens because we sold out the first night, and big show in Thessaloniki with Blind Guardian. We're really super hyped about that because those guys are friends. So yeah, we're really excited. So I think people should kind of be on the lookout for stuff. We're still booking shows at the moment, so just be on the lookout. Hopefully we can get into your neighborhood.
Cool. And on the record, you guys have a cover of Elton John's, and House Fell Down. It's quite a surprise because I don't think it's one of the songs that people expect to hear. And like when we hear your vocals, it's like what is happening here. It's a great version. How did you guys came about for that song?
So it's funny. So Freddie really wanted to do an Elton John cover. And I was all on board, obviously, but man, he's got so many great hits to choose from, and like so many things, and we didn't want to do anything, an injustice, right? So we were thinking about it, and my wife, she's a really big fan, and she listens to a lot of different Elton John songs, and this one was actually like in her rotation for on her like YouTube channel rotation. And she goes, I really love this song. I love the meaning of it. Listening to it, it's about, addiction and dealing with that and things like that, and dealing with probably mental health issues as well. And it's just a really powerful song, right? It's sort of light as far as the direction that Elton took it, which, he does a lot. He does a lot of things with a kind of a lighter tone, but we just really dug and she mentioned it, and and I'm like, I'm cool with that. It sounds great. So I floated it to Freddie, and he was like, "Yep, we're totally doing this." So he started working on arranging things as far as guitar, because obviously Elton John is piano heavy, so it's kind of just taking on that was a challenge, but I think Freddie did an awesome job on it. And as far as my approach with the presentation of vocals, I was sort of inspired because of the kind of the ragtime feel of that. Funny enough, so there's another movie I was inspired by, but you're gonna kind of think it's weird that I was inspired by it. But whenever I hear the song, it reminds me of this movie called what is it called, babe? Oh, The Princess and the Frog. It's an animated Disney movie. Anyway, witch doctor in there that sings this song, and he has this ragtime and this really deep kind of craggly voice, and I can't remember the guy that does the vocals for it, but I love the movie, and I love that particular character. He's very dark, and he's a witch doctor, so really cool stuff, man. So that was kind of my inspiration for that, because I just kind of got that vibe with it, and I didn't want to, obviously I don't want to try to imitate Sir Elton John by any stretch. I want to try to make it my own and do, have it be me. So that's why I went that direction with it. And we changed up obviously some stuff with the chorus a little bit to make it a little more heavy, and kind of went with that. So it was a lot of fun to work on, man. Really love doing tribute stuff. Yeah. Try not to make it sound, karaoke, obviously, but do some tribute. And I think Freddie did a phenomenal job on translating between the piano stuff and the guitar stuff, and a lot of cool bass lines in there. So it's really neat.
Yeah. And you mentioned Eisters, obviously, as a big Eisters fan for many, many years. You were at the height where Eisters, you were on top form with all the records you did. Is there any chance in the future of you doing some work again with John, under the Eisters umbrella?
I don't know, man. There's no talk of that, and I don't want to go down that I got sucked in that with another interview and people screwed what I was talking about. So, you know, I hope that John does something in the future, but I don't know. That's not something that he's talked about. You know, he's dealing with things in his life right now and doing different things with his life. So, but as a fan, you know, as an Iced Earth fan, yeah, I would love to see something come out and something happen. As far as, you know, my input in it, there's certainly nothing that has been talked about or discussed or anything like that. So at the moment, you know, Freddie and I are going to try to pay tribute to Iced Earth and the Iced Earth legacy on this next tour, with presenting the Dark Saga in its entirety, and that's the extent of where we are right now. So.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw you guys was here in Portugal, in Porto, on the Horror Show album. It was fucking phenomenal, man. It was so good.
Yeah. Was that the old winery?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
What a cool venue, man. I remember that. And I remember that. And I talk to my wife about that all the time, about how cool Porto was, man. I love that, just that whole area in there. Beautiful town.
Yeah, if you guys come back to Porto or something, the wineries are still open. That place exactly is gone, but wineries are still there, and you can visit, you know, all those, you know, where the barrels with the wine and all that stuff is. I advise you to, you know, take half a day to visit. I did it. I did a mistake of going in the morning before I ate any breakfast. I did a tasting.
Came out pretty drunk, huh?
I got out of there before lunchtime, and I had to sit down because the road was moving. It wasn't me, it was the road.
Sure it was.
But it's great. It's a great. I advise everyone that comes to Portugal and goes to Porto to visit the wineries, because it's an amazing experience. Anyway. Matt, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy your holidays. All the best for Ashes of Aries. And I hope to see you guys soon, you know, Ashes of Aries, whatever happens next. You know, if you guys come to this side of, Portugal, Spain, something, you know, I hope to see you around there. All right? Yeah,
that would be fantastic, man. Yep, I would love to do that. So, all right, Jorge.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, and I hope to see you soon, all right? Thank you.
Yep, take care, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.